DCEU.
Yeah, he'd be sick in the Suicide Squad, that character, in like the realistic one. Because I could see him being dead straight and being dead serious about doing whatever he'd be doing, and then you'd have the rest of them being all wacky and that. I think it'd be quite cool.
Yeah, no, he would be really cool. Yeah, but so to go on from the game itself, though, anyway, like they didn't show a trailer for the Justice League itself. Not the Justice League, the Suicide Squad, but that movie looks like it's going to stand out to me. Like, I think that's going to be really good, especially with James Gunn at the helm. I think that's going to be something quite different.
Yeah.
Like something
I think
it's very colourful as well, which I'm super happy for, because with Guardians of the Galaxy, he did a very good job. Personally.
Yeah, he did. I think you've relied a little bit too much on the soundtrack for me in Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's a different conversation completely.
Yeah.
But I think the DC have learned to let the directors direct now.
Yeah.
You know, they've realised with Zack Snyder cut, with the Aya cut that people are asking for now of Suicide Squad, which I think would be really interesting. I think they've realised that you can, to be different from Marvel, they have to just let directors direct.
Yeah.
And see and let it come after the fact. Like, so if David Ayer wants to do some dead, super serious, super gritty, super weird Suicide Squad version, let him do it and then deal with his universe afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't have to pre-do that. Zack Snyder's already, he did. He'd already started the universe and the tone of it. So just let other directors just do what they want after. Do you like Aquaman? Do it, and look at that. Aquaman looked boss. It was a boss film. Now everyone wants to see another one because you just let a good director direct a film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Without saying to him, well, by the way, if this isn't in it, we're fucked.
And not
Do you know what I mean? If this doesn't,
yeah.
Oh, fuck all that. Like, honestly, that film was so disappointing to me.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was.
Go on.
I was going to say it was almost as disappointing as Justice League, but the Snyder Cut's coming and I couldn't be more excited. I am the biggest Zack Snyder fan. I totally understand as Superman, and I know that's quite divisive for some people.
Yeah.
But like, I understand the tone and what he's doing with it. Like, he wants, like, if Superman was alive in this world right now, we'd have him in court. Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? Don't come near my house. What about my insurance? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All those type of questions would be asked, and that's what he does. That's what he asks. He puts it into the union. He doesn't make a comic book film and say, "Oh, look how amazing Iron Man could be if he goes to Afghanistan and murders loads of people." Do you know what I mean? There's no consequence for it. But in this one, he's like, "This is how you'd react. This is why people don't like it. It's because he's pointing the finger at you and saying, oh, you know, Batman was real or Superman was real. This is how you'd react to it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it's cool.
No.
You know what I mean?
Especially Batman,
and that's why I love it.
Branding people.
Yeah, like, that's not a cool thing. That's a scary thing. Because what if, like, I'm walking home from work and Batman thinks I'm fucking slinging weed? You know what I mean? Trying to get me a film by Batman. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Zack Snyder does. He goes, what would you do? And this is what I think you'd do. And that's why people don't like his films. That's why all these nerds on Twitter who are kicking off, and even on on YouTube as well, they kick off because that's how they'd react. They think they're cool and they think they'd be all in on it, but they wouldn't.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They'd be. Bill Gates tries to do a vaccine and everyone wants to murder him. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's who do you think's the closest version of Iron Man we've got? It's fucking Bill Gates. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, so there's one thing that proper annoyed me was the song choice for that whole entire thing. Why did you put
Hallelujah?
Why? And also, why did you put that version on? It was grim and it sucked. I hated it so much. Like, as in, I could have.
I've been singing it all day.
Nope. I could have muted that trailer, and I could have and then watched it and be like, that was great, and whatever. That's fine. Just leave the sound effects in or whatever. But for the good things, I'm happy that Darkseid's in it. Also,
what do you think of the design?
I think
I've seen a bit of hate on it, but
like it's not
I think
comic booky. He looks very like warrior tribe, which is a bit
yeah,
annoying. Like the head, like his crown, well, not a crown, but like his helmet's not on. He doesn't have like a full chest piece on or anything like that, and he's swinging a staff. Like Darkseid doesn't
he's
need a staff, like or like
he's
some sort of.
Uxas though. He's not Darkseid at this point, apparently,
Oh really?
because he's been. Zack Snyder tweeted a long time ago,
Mm,
and it was Gal Gadot doing a voiceover work years ago before Justice League even started.
yeah.
But like he tweeted it out later, and he said, Diana meets Uxas, which I think that's how you pronounce it. That's Darkseid, this young Darkseid, I assume, before he gets more and more equipment and becomes stronger. So I
Maybe
think
yeah.
that's the tone, because that Darkseid will be in the where they fight Zeus and shit.
Maybe yeah. Like when they
That's
all
where
come out,
that's
like
gonna be it.
where they fight
Which
the gods and Green Lanterns and stuff.
yeah,
Mm,
which I'd assume would have been thousands of years ago.
mm.
What do you think of Steppenwolf design?
Better, so much better.
It's so much better, isn't it?
Like
So much fucking
he's just
better.
not some grey monster. Like he's like gold now, like gold, and
Yeah,
he's got like that twisty metal sort of thing. You know, like
yeah,
kind of like
love it.
kind
It,
of like the mother
it looks
box.
like, yeah, it's kind of like, is that your armor or is that you?
Yeah, like
Do
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? It's like, is that who he is or is that his armor? Where
yep,
on the other one it looks like armor.
yeah.
But let me ask you, there's a guy in a hood in the trailer. I don't know if you remember.
Mm,
Is that him? Is that Steppenwolf? I know
mm.
you know a little bit more. Or is that a different character altogether?
So yeah, I saw the dude in the hood. Now, so did you look up who it was? Like, was there a name?
Yeah, his name is Desad,
Or
if
is
that's how you say it.
yeah, or
Or Desad.
is that possibly,
D.
or is that just rumors maybe? But if it is, he's in the first issue of Deceased. He is the
Okay.
one that rips the mother box um, out of Cyborg and starts like the zombie apocalypse, like
Yes.
that apocalypse, which turns into the anti-life equation. So, which is what Darkseid is always after. So yeah, so that would be interesting if it actually comes down to they don't just need the mother boxes, they need the anti-life equation. That would be insane
Yeah.
because
Deck.
that would mean that the character that has the life equation, which the his name escapes me right now. I just had it, but I forgot. It'll come to me later. That'd be interesting because they're both like it'll be Darkseid versus like a god sort of thing. So yeah, something like that. I think the equator maybe no.
I have never heard of the anti-life equation and
Yeah, yeah. So
never.
that's Darkseid's like sole purpose, like what he's after while he's living on
Yeah.
Apocalypse. Besides
To
training
be
like
honest,
Valkyries and things like that. But
I've never actually read any Justice League stuff.
yeah,
Should. It's just one of them things that like I don't end up reading. Do you know what I mean? I always end up reading like Batman, couple of Supermans, Flashpoint. Do you know what I mean? Keeping it like I've just never bothered.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I think it is? I like to read mine in one big bulk. Do you know what I
You
mean?
like
So
a
I don't
trade.
like this. Like I've got the umbrella here yet, so like you can buy them individually, but I don't want to. I just give me it all in one big go.
Yeah, just one
I
massive
think
trade.
like to read. Yeah, I want to read the whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't have to wait a week.
yeah. Yeah,
You
wait
know
a
what I
week
mean?
or a month for the next one.
I like a graphic novel.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
why I
nice.
don't like reading manga too much because it's always weekly.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, or monthly or whatever it is. I'm like, no, give me the big batch of it, like this thick.
Yeah,
Give me it and let me just read it.
yeah, very much so. Yeah. Well,
But yeah.
speaking about comics, anyway,
Yeah.
good segue into the Umbrella Academy. Let's crack on with
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
shall we?
Speaking about Umbrella Academy,
Yeah.
let's
So
get going.
episode 2. So
Yeah.
first thoughts, like, what were you expecting from this episode? Were you expecting anything, or were you just kind of expecting a small ramp up, or what?
I think I was excited. I wanted to see how the pace of the season was going to be
Yeah.
because because I'm getting like in season one, it was quite slow paced.
Hmm.
If you think about it, it slowly and slowly built up, and who's going to destroy the world? In this one, we know.
Yeah.
We know the world's going to end. We know how it's going to end. Where is the stakes going to come from? Where is the tension? And I think this is the episode where we'll see how they're going to do that. Is it going to be a slow build up again, or are we just going to be like bang, 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 bang? This is so much going on. So it's interesting to find out.
Yeah, very much so. So we start off with the handler getting wheeled to the crematorium by these two dudes who were just talking like just so desensitized to dead bodies, like they're just talking about going to go get like I don't know what it was, like dim sum or something like that, and it was quite funny. And anyway, so the handler's getting pushed towards, and the handler has like a bullet in her head, and we all think that's it, she's gone. And then as they're walking down, they open the door to like where the flames are, and then she wakes up, and he starts panicking, and he just like and he's like, oh no, and then anyway like pokes her face, and she wakes up and just goes, get me to the hospital. I was like, what the what's going on here? Like there's no bullets, like there's no well to explain later on what she said, not to explain later on what she says, but I was like, okay, if she's dead, like there's nothing, like just one entry wound, like surely something should have happened. But anyway, it cuts to 3 months later, and then she starts walking towards work. She's back in her full form, very, very out there with her dressing and stuff like that. Very colorful, very, just everything. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not exactly an exhibitionist, but like she's just like she's walking to work and she's mega. She is the one.
Yeah. She's a contrast, isn't she? Yeah. She's meant to be an outlier, a bit like she's like Five. She's the other side to Five. She works for whatever that place is called. Name's
the commission.
What's it called again? The commission. She's the contrast. Like the commission's meant to be. Everyone wears grey. Everyone just gets the job done.
If you're higher up, you're wearing like a black suit. If you're lower, you're wearing like that weird color blue suit.
Grey, blue, like the blue grey thing. And I was like, how do you feel about bringing her back? Because we meet another character at the end of this bit.
Yeah.
And I wanted him.
You wanted
this season.
You want who's coming up next to be the main one. Okay. Yeah. I thought good, but why? Well, maybe not good, but I was like, oh, okay, she's back. And then like 3 months later, I was like, okay, so like obviously time is irrelevant where they are, like whatever time they're living in. So, as she's walking towards it, though, I'll just quickly go through this because then we'll get to that. We'll get to that exact person who we're talking about. She clearly loves her work. Like she looks. Oh, yeah. She loves it. She's at the front door. She's like adores it. This was good. She walked through the front door and puts her hand out with her coat, and no one's there. But she's like in a black and white sort of like room, and she's the one wearing bright red. Sort of thing, holding out a coat. And I thought that was really, really good. Everyone just walks past her, just like no one's acknowledging her that she's there. However, you start hearing it a little bit more. You just hear all the whispers. Like everyone's like, "Oh my god, she's here!" Like all that kind of stuff. And then as she's walking through, she just walks straight to her office, which used to be her office. And then bang, we see AJ, the smoking fish, which was fantastic. I thought this guy was like really, really good, really well done. Like to completely, but I don't know, maybe just from season one, all them characters being the norm. That was weird seeing a dude with a head that's a fishbowl.
Yeah, like, it was very weird.
Like weird, and smoking as well, which was quite funny.
Yeah, we'd had Pogo, but we hadn't really had anyone else to like really be like, oh, this is a weird universe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like I was super stoked for it. Like, but I was also a little bit like, okay, that's where this is going. Like, never mind the trailers and stuff like that because you see him in the trailers. But I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, like the thing. But actually seeing him there cemented in, I was like, okay. And the fish is like super smart. Like he's not just a normal goldfish. Like later on in a few more episodes, actually explains what he is. But nevertheless, he's like a goldfish. And then so talking fish, and then she's like freaking out, goes for these ciggies, and then he like pulls away and like closed the ciggies on her hand, and she's like, "What the shit? Like I don't get it."
Power move, that.
Yeah, very much like a power move.
Yeah, it's like I'm in charge. These are my ciggies now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
It's really good storytelling. That's like it's just nice. Just like now you know who's in charge.
yeah,
You knew anyway. The whole scene sets it up that this is now my office. This is now the AJ's office again. Who I personally think should have been the main character, the main protagonist from
now
fuck, I
onwards.
keep forgetting the name. From now onwards, the commission.
What, the handler?
Yeah, I think AJ should have become that.
Yeah,
I can see why though, because it's probably expensive to get the CGI constantly,
yeah.
and I mean that's why they don't have monkeys everywhere like in the comics.
Yeah,
If you remember in the comics, there's monkeys everywhere. Pogo's not just the only one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's obviously because you can't have. Pogo looks so expensive. He's so well done.
Like every
Do you know what I mean?
every follicle, every like mouth movement and things.
Don't get me wrong.
Spot on.
It's not Planet of the Apes.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But like they haven't got a movie budget. Planet of the Apes are probably the best graphics I've ever seen as well.
But however, they've
like, you
done
know what I mean?
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I was watching Corridor Guys. Have you seen them on YouTube?
Yes.
They do like the Corridor Crew, or Corridor Guys. They review VFX and stuff like that, and the way they were saying it, and I notice now a lot that like they do it with Pogo. It's always in a dark room, lit very strong, so like the light comes really on one side. Do you know what I mean? Strong. They call it strong directional light, which just allows allows you to just cover it up in darkness. Then, so like this side of the face will always just be dark. So then you only really have the CGI here. Do you know what I mean? And if I'm not on like a video at this point, I'm pointing at one side and I'm pointing at the other for the dark.
Good for the audio listeners, yeah.
Yeah. But we can have maybe a picture of Pogo at this point, and you can just show like you can show the light direction that they use. But I just think, I think right now at where the story is, I was thinking we could have done with a new one. Could have had like a new person who's even worse than her and leveled it up again for the second season, if you get what I mean. But we can see where it goes. She's a really good actress. She does really well. Like, I'm not complaining that she's in it, but how are we leveling it up now? We're in season 2. We need to go up another notch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not in terms of like physicality or anything, but just in the stakes, in the drama.
Yeah.
How do you level it up?
We need another evil. We had got rid of one, and now we've got 2 essentially, plus the commission. So we don't know really what's going on. But to go on, so she was getting demoted. Screams about Hazel and Charger, how they screwed the pooch. Going back through it as well, like going back through the comics as well, seeing their heads on last episode. I couldn't remember. They did in the comics indeed have like the bunny head and the teddy bear head, but they were also very different as well. They were both smiling, and it was quite funny. It kind of reminded me like a Friday Night at Freddy's sort of look. But this is a big thing which I noted, the 743 incident. Now this does mean something. It was very much like a blink and you miss it sort of thing, or like a lapse of concentration, you wouldn't have heard it or cared. And then I
noticed that on my second viewing.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, okay, right, sweet. Like maybe now, the more times we come back to the commission, there'll be more things about the 743. But anyway, we don't. So carries on. There's Herb standing at the door. Now this joke, I wasn't happy about. But like, however, you could tell this is what Herb's life. So she says something about Herb. She's like I've taken bigger turds than him, and it's like, wow, okay, that was hectic. And I was like, that's taken aback. But the way Herb combats it was fantastic, because he just goes, maybe you need some more fiber, and it's just like, that was spot on. Like, Herb's awesome.
I love Herb. I've got so much time for Herb. He's just a really nice character. Do you know what I mean? He's always a little grin and a little bounce on him. It's just like a really fun contrast to in the show.
Yeah.
Considering the show's got a lot of wacky characters, do you know what I mean? A lot of out there, everyone's taking up scene space. Do you know what I mean? Just to have him, just
a sensible chuck.
Yeah, and he's just like a nice, laughy guy. Do you know what I mean? and I'll take that.
Especially the trivia which we found out, or which you found out actually, is quite good.
Yeah.
Was that he is the he does the mocap for Pogo. That was brilliant. That.
Yeah, which I'm into.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
I like that.
I went back and watched the behind the scenes, brilliant. But however, you can tell what they changed and what they didn't. So obviously there was multiple takes and stuff like that, but what they were changing with like the way he speaks, his mannerisms and stuff, was quite good because obviously the guy who plays Pogo, the actual actor who does his voiceover and stuff like that, they mocapped him as well. So yeah, that was quite good.
Oh, okay.
So then going on from so after they do the joke, he goes go with Pogo, go with Pogo, go with Herb, and then
yeah,
just as they're leaving, you watch the smoking fish, which was quite good. I thought that was brilliant, like the fact that he sucks in the
the
bubbles,
ball.
and he can blow out like smoke
Yeah,
and stuff like that. That was brilliant. So
yeah.
Herb takes the handler to a desk, which it turns out like she sits there, and then that lovely lady that sits behind her, and she's like, "Oh, it's Polynesian night. Do you want to go and get whatever this is?" And she's like, "I'll staple your face to the wall." It's like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
Could be
But
worse.
again, though, isn't that a direct contrast to when Five sat there? I cannot remember exactly what Five said, but I'm sure he said something dead similar to that woman.
Yeah, he wasn't super happy
which
about
again, which again brings their relationship into they're the same person.
they're same,
They've just
but
taken different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've just taken a different direction, but they're the same person.
Yeah. So we go on to the next scene, which was Five and Luther are talking, so it follows on from the first episode, where they were, and they're talking about the world, like this is happening, this is changing. It is going to happen. He does carry on and say the world is going to end, and you can just tell that Luther just doesn't care. Like he still doesn't care. He's not getting it. Like he's meant to be number one, but he just doesn't. He's just not twigging anymore. So I don't get it. So anyway, and then you pan over to Mr. Ruby, who is number one, Luther's employer, and says, like, really, that guy, that's the dude that shot like Lee Harvey Oswald or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And then carries on. He's like, yeah, you know what? I still don't care. And you can see the timeline dropping into place here, where you can just tell things are getting screwed up. Like on my second viewing, because the first time I was like, obviously us not being Americans or living in America, not really up on massively on that history. It was like, okay, I'm getting it now. Like this is all the things that are happening. Like who was that bodyguard if it wasn't Luther, and and like how much money would Mr. Ruby be taking in at this point in time if Luther wasn't fighting for him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Luther says something which is quite which was very cutting and interesting to me. How he just still blames everything on Vanya. He's like, but also very like, oh yeah, got it. Vanya is doomsday and will be and will probably just end the world.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. I was like, yeah, probably. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, she's done it before. She'll do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that characterization that like he's looking for someone to blame. You can tell he's not actually blaming him. He's not actually blaming Vanya, but he needs that person to blame because otherwise he knows he's number one. He has to blame himself because he's the leader of the group. So it's so much easier for him, and you can see it. That's why he's like down and he's sad because like it's just really good writing. He's like, no, it's Vanya's fault. I don't have to think about anything else if it's Vanya's fault.
Yeah, like
I'm
living my life now. I'm drinking beer and I'm eating steaks and I'm being looked after.
Yeah.
All I have to do is just look after that dude over there. And speaking of that dude over there, behind him is the dude in the sunnies smoking, which was quite.
Yeah.
It was quite.
Yeah,
good
he keeps popping up.
Yeah, he keeps popping up.
I wonder who he is.
Why? Why does he keep popping up? And also, why is everybody smoking? Like 90% of that place is smoking. Where's all this? Like that extraction system must be bang on. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who knew the 60s had such good extraction?
I know, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that scene was quite good. So they walk over, like one of the waitresses comes over, tells them to kick Carl out. Luther
Yeah.
more or less like just spits at Five and just says like, "No, I'm not doing it. Whatever. Like, get out." And like Five just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Whatever. I'm just gonna finish drinking my whiskey." Which also, how is he getting served again? Like, clearly he's a
Probably
kid.
stealing it, isn't he?
Probably, yeah, probably. And then after that happens, so Carl gets kicked out of the bar, which we find out was Carl, if we didn't say this earlier, but which also pissed me off a little
Yeah.
bit because it was like, oh, I thought you were supposed to be a good man, bit of a dick, still a dick,
Oh, he's
but
a dick.
I thought you were meant to be a good man. No, you're just a horrible dick. So
Mm.
as he's getting kicked out, Five goes, okay, whatever, and goes to get off the chair and rips his pocket, and he goes, what the? And he finds the Kodak film, and I was like, okay, you had a quick look at what it said on there, and I was like I did. First of all, it didn't twig to me or anything like that. Even on the second viewing, like it didn't twig to me what exactly it said on that film, but it was just the tapes, and I was like thinking that was going to have more significance, but we find out later anyway. Um,
Yeah.
what the name is, which is still
What do you think about?
Mhm.
What do you think about the fact that like he didn't find it in his pocket for like a day?
Yeah, it's quite big. Like, how big are his pockets?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How little do if a coin is out of place in my pocket, I figured that out.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If
like
like my phone's the wrong way, I'm like, oh, something's off.
yeah,
Something's off here. I need to fix my pocket. Something's in wrong. And I'm like, how did he not know?
yeah. Like
So
the whole
I feel like that he could have found that, and that guy could have been developing it
yeah.
last episode, and it could have took a day to develop. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That was a bit weird to me.
Well, then again, he didn't exactly trust him at that point because it's the night time of his first day, I
Yeah.
believe. So yeah,
No, this is day 2, is it? I'm not sure. Time is irrelevant in this
yeah,
show.
it actually is.
You're right.
And then he flashes back to Hazel and looks at him when he figures it out. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that is what it is. So then we move on to the farm with Vanya and Sissy, and then it
Yeah.
ties in straight away, and you're just going like, Carl, you're a dick, and I hate you still.
Yeah.
Sissy's running around just going like, where's my keys? But then you look into the newspaper, and Vanya's been posting herself in the
Yeah.
newspapers, looking for anyone who's looking for her, like any sort of,
Yeah.
and no one's coming forward, nothing.
Mm.
And then that whole situation happens, and then what was quite interesting is you see what I started noticing, which cements itself later, is if you look at Sissy and you look at Vanya and you look at the way that they're dressed, this really stood out to me, especially later on in the episode, and I'll come back to it now. But if you look at what Sissy's wearing, she's wearing like a full on dress, wearing like that um, mini
Yeah.
coat and stuff like that, like full, very very feminine handbag and things like that. You know what I mean? Like a clutch, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not a woman, so I do not know what it's called. I think it's called a clutch. And anyway,
I
look at the
mean, it
keys.
seems to know what it's called.
Honestly, my missus has that many bags behind me. It's a joke. So moving on to what Vanya's wearing. She's wearing a bowling shirt, like a very which I expected to have like the name Gus on it or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And then
I really like that bowling shirt though. I was thinking about that dude when I watched it actually.
yeah,
I
the
was like,
bowling
I
shirt.
was like, I was like, could I rock a bowling shirt? Or would it be a bit? Would it feel a bit sleazy, like 2.5 Men? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Would it
yeah.
feel a bit like him? A little bit like it.
Got tiger blood running through your veins.
Yeah, I was thinking, ooh, am I gonna be a bit Charlie Sheen if I rock one, but kind of want one now. So, but yeah, I see what you mean there.
Yeah. Okay, so straight after that, which is still tied into the first episode, Diago and Lila, they dodging the cops straight away. So
Yeah,
this after the Swedes after they dodged the Swedes, they just ran off into darkness, and the Swedes were standing there. So I think what they did is they just got straight off, which is like, you know what I mean. They just looked around and went, "Nope, that's it. Go. Like, need to leave now." So they're still in the clothes, and which I thought was quite good. And also, there's a very funny thing which reminded me of Deadpool with Colossus and Angel. So yeah, where Colossus and Angel, they're starting talking about like, this is what we need to do. I need to go and stop Oswald, and like, you know, all this kind of stuff. And he's rushing, and Lila's like, yeah. Turns around, and then he realizes that Lila takes a shit, like pulls her pants down rather, and he's like, and turns around. And he's like, yeah, good, still a gentleman, even though you have a hero complex. Maybe that ties in. Who knows? I thought this scene here, like the cars, just from an aesthetic like level, the cars, and everything around the clothes, and then a car, like a cop car rolls by. That cop car looks awesome, like very Blues Brother-esque and stuff like that. Obviously, it's that time, but it was very, very well done. It was polished to the max. I couldn't tell if there was like CGI or whatever.
No, it looked really good.
Yeah, and then the joke that lands, which was, she goes like, "Come on, get in the car," smashes the window, and then just hot wires a car. And I was like, okay, so how did you know that? Like, how did you, like, are you a hero complex? Like, do you have something like that? Are you a thief? Like, what's going on here? How did you just know just to hotwire a car like that? Pull out the red and white wire, or whatever, the red and the blue wire. And then, then the joke that lands is that he goes, "You know, this window's open, right?" Then they get in, and then they go off. And then, so those were the scenes which pretty much leads from that first day onwards.
I'm still, now I've said it out loud, and I said it to you on the last episode, that she reminds me of a Harley Quinn. I can't get over it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just too random. It's too wacky.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I've never liked that character anyway.
The fact that she's,
you know what I mean?
She's portraying a lunatic.
Yeah, like, it's always, that type of character's always bothered me because it's really unrealistic to be that random. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh look, I'd come up with random thing. I'll smash this window. Like, eventually, like, it's just too much for me.
Yeah.
Like, you can't always be that far in.
And you're
like
also
the person who Klaus nails it. Klaus nails that "I'm weird" thing perfectly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the actor does it even better than perfect, in my opinion. And I think this character specifically is just written a little bit too much with her, with Harley Quinn in mind.
Okay.
Like, obviously, all these characters are based on other characters in TV, in comic books, aren't they? So I do assume that she's been written with that in mind. But we'll see how it goes further along. See if it chills out just a little bit. Yeah. Because that's all it needs, I think, just to tone it down a tiny, tiny bit. And I think it'll be really good.
Well, I think later scenes, it does, personally.
Yeah, when she goes a little bit more serious.
Yeah, like, it starts more, like, she's literally just left the mental
asylum.
Like the asylum. They've just left it, so maybe it's like, okay, like, I can kind of relax a bit now, like the adrenaline's pumping and everything like that. So before we take a break, I wanted to actually finish off this night even. So there's two more scenes which finish off the night.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite good. So Vanya gets Carl from the bar, and yet again we'll harp on about it, and I'll harp on about it again. Carl is so weak. Like,
he's a proper dick.
He's really bad. Like, he's just sitting there, and he just, like, gets himself up, like, slaps Vanya's hand out the way to get up and things like that. Like, "I don't need your help," whatever. And he's like, "Oh, does Sissy still love me?" and stuff like that. It's like, no, of course not. You're fucked. Like, go away. Like, and Vanya puts it very well and just goes like, "No, you said you were going to work, but you've been in the bar all night, and you're drunk."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." And then Luther finds the wallet on the floor, which I thought was like, okay, like, good movie series trope, very, like, good work. And then goes outside to go and find him because he knows where he left him, and sees Vanya. Now, this is what I thought was quite interesting. It was that Vanya is definitely not playing, like, is not playing with amnesia. It's really a thing. Like, she's really hurt us. Like, she's really lost the memory and hurt her head. because
Yeah.
Luther goes like, "Oh my god!" Like does that like shock surprise, and she just looks at him like shock and surprise, like, "What are you looking at?" And then drives off. I thought that was brilliant personally. So like that scene with Luther as well, just
Yeah,
kind of,
I did.
I was like, why didn't you just
I
go walk
agree.
over? Why don't you do something, anything? But anyway, so the next scene
I
is
really,
go
I
on.
really like this. I really like this face when he sees her.
Oh yeah.
He's really sad and he's really confused
Hmm.
and he's not happy. You know what I mean? But you can tell that he's missed everyone, even Vanya.
Yeah.
And I know he's. You feel like he's obviously scared of Vanya as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because he knows what she's capable. He knows what she's capable of, and I just really like this look. It was a really good acting performance. It just went onto his face. It was lit nicely, and then he just gave a good performance in that one scene. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was
Yeah.
really well done.
Yeah. Very
You know
much
what I
so.
mean?
It was like a I'm scared but I'm sorry sort of look.
Yeah, yeah. It was just a really good, confused, deep, complex look. I thought he done really well.
Yeah. So then we move on to the Swedes in the milk truck, and they arrive at Allison's with a photo, which I thought was quite
Yeah,
good. And also the photo is like it's very yellow, it's very old, and like like which also comes back to where like the commission does that just move around all the time. Um,
yeah.
and also like if that photo is that old, maybe if it goes through the pipes or something like that,
Mm.
does it age it? I don't know, or is it just an aesthetic and I'm
Oh, who
thinking way
knows?
too much into it?
I think it's just the aesthetic, but I
Yeah.
agree. Like if we can go through time, can't you just update those printers a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Like
You know what I mean?
you can still have
Any
modern,
any HD?
yeah,
Yeah,
and they're all still going through typewriters. Like I'm surprised one of them doesn't have a laptop or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
It's the John Wick thing, innit?
yeah, very much so. Like
You know what I mean? We've
they're
all
all,
gotten 50s typewriters for no reason.
yeah, they're all
Do you know
paint
what I mean?
chips and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Penguin from Gotham is running it or something like that, or he's just one of the chiefs.
Oh yeah, I'll take him though because he's sick.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, they're at Allison's house, and then this was where I thought shit for two reasons. One, I was like, okay, are we going to see just how powerful the Swedes are? Like, are they that? Like,
Hmm.
obviously we know they're ruthless. They just kill people point blank. But I was like, okay, is this going to be like some wicked fight? And then the door explodes, and the cops are there, and I just went, shit, no, why?
Yeah,
Did you have to? And I like, for fuck's sake! And yet again, I was reminded, this is the time. This is that time of the real world. And I went, fuck
yeah.
off. Like, so,
Allison,
mm,
Allison definitely represents the real side of the 50s or the 60s.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Where everyone else is kind of in that make believe comic book world.
yeah,
Allison is firmly in that like real, this was a shit time world.
yeah,
You know
very
what I
much
mean?
so. Yeah, like,
Being a black woman in the 1960s,
yeah,
being a good thing. You didn't have a good time, and they show it really well.
yeah,
In a nice tone as well. Obviously, they don't want to go too deep
yeah,
because it's not the show for that.
no,
Do you know what I mean? They don't want to go like listen because they could do you could do thousands of hours TV on just that subject alone.
yeah.
But this isn't that. But they just do it enough. Do you know what I mean?
To make you
Like
just go,
arresting us.
just to make you get
Yeah,
upset and angry and like enough not to go
yeah,
too far and in depth into it. Yeah, I know. I see what you mean.
yeah.
So
We,
you go on.
well, I was going to say it leads us into the next scene of this,
Hmm.
where Klaus meets the husband.
Hmm.
What's his name again? I can't remember his name.
Raymond.
And Raymond, and like so when they're in prison,
Hmm.
because that's the next scene, isn't it?
No, yes, it is the next scene, but it's also the next day. So as they're getting arrested, Raymond notices that Allison says, "I heard a rumor," and the
Mm,
first time because the dude's eyes go like pearlescent white,
yeah,
and I was like, "Wow, okay, like that's actually what it does." Because in the first one, we didn't know what happened. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe
yeah,
they had a higher budget for it. Who knows? She just goes like, you can just tell that she's just like, "Fuck! Like, why don't I just do something about it? Like, I can't do anything about it." So
mm,
Raymond gets whisked off to jail and stuff like that. So
yeah,
the Swedes are sitting there, and a crowd gathers throughout the whole thing. They're in a milk truck. They're fine. Whatever. Three white dudes, bleach blonde hair, and then she like the main one just turns around, shakes his head, says, "No, we're going to get off now." And then the smaller one out of the bunch, the one in the actual milkman's outfit, picks up this weird milk bottle full of this pearlescent, thick-looking fluid.
Disgusting milk.
It looked disgusting. Like, it was holy mother of pearl color, and then just drinks it and just goes like, yeah. But what is that? What is that? What is that milk? I almost said blue milk then. But what is it?
I have no idea.
Exactly. So,
and I couldn't see anything in the comic. And I was thinking about that myself, and I was like, I have no idea what that is or why that's even in it.
No, because I thought,
do you know what I mean?
I thought back to going through the whole series again, and I don't think you see it again. But as I'm saying, I'm watching through the second. We're watching through the second series again, and I'm keen to see where this pops up again, and also I'm keen to see where a few insignias pop up as well, which we'll find later in this episode. It's very quick, and it just moves on. But speaking of moving on, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're just going to do a little segment on each episode. We'll do a little segment on on a specific character. Being episode 2, we're going to be doing number 2, Diago, aka the Kraken. First question I want to throw to you, Scotty, is what do you think about the direction of the look comparatively to the comics?
Well, in the comics, if I'm not wrong, he's got blonde hair.
Yeah. So, completely different, like.
Yeah, he's completely different. And also, the reason why he's called the Kraken is because he loves being in the water. I'm not wrong with that. Like, that's why he's in the assassin. Because in the first one, he saves a kid when he dives under the water, grabs a kid and gets him out the way, and then a knife comes out of the water and then gets somebody in the first comic, and then in the first series, like the Netflix series, I don't think the most he ever gets to water is he just gets constantly rained on. So I was like, okay, so they're just steering away from that. Maybe it's harder. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Because he moves fluidly through water. I don't think that's blood, but yeah, like, you know what I mean?
I think a name like the Kraken would be quite confusing with Ben. With number 6. Ben's number 6, isn't he? Yeah. And I think for the TV show, you don't need it. You can just be Diago. Diago, get rid, boom, done. But what do you think about his character in general? Do you find him likable? Do you find him
I think the hero complex is definitely something which everyone just goes like, okay, yeah, whatever. He's got a hero complex and he's not going to get over it. Right? Whatever. Like, he thinks that this is a world full of comic book heroes, or he thinks he is a comic book hero. Very, very much they are, and they do have these powers, and they are like that. But there is no Superman, there is no Batman, and you know what I mean? Like, he's a dude that can throw knives, pause it in midair, and then change it to go 90 degrees or wherever he wants it to go. Which is like, you know, maybe that's where he's getting it from. He's like, I am a hero. I have these powers. Whereas he looks at everybody else and kind of just like he underestimates their powers, sort of thing. Besides 5, I think 5 he's got a lot more. After the first series, he's a lot more like, okay, you are way older than me. You do know these things, and you're very smart. But he also is very naive in the fact that, like, yeah, whatever, but you just don't know what you're talking about. And which kind of annoys me a bit. It's like, surely you could have just grown up by now.
I think he respects 5 for how game 5 is to do stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Luther, physically Luther's the strongest, but he doesn't respect him because he's a bit of a wet wipe, isn't he? Luther. Do you know what I mean? For that lot, I can't think of another term to describe that idea of him. He's a bit weak mentally.
Yeah.
Where 5 is all in.
Yeah.
5 is a notorious assassin now. Do you know what I mean? He's murdered countless people. All right, Diago doesn't like that.
Yeah.
But he respects that he's up for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If someone says, let's go, we need to kill these people, Diago knows that 5 will do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think he likes that. And you know what I mean? I think that's cool.
He has respect for the fact that 5, even though being his brother, he'll just kill him anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like in his
like
in
his
his head,
game.
he's just
Yeah,
gone like, "I'll just kill you." Like, you know I will.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
like, which I thought was quite good. But yeah, going back to what Luther as well, like I thought that was a very interesting, like in the fact of he's so he's just a wet towel, isn't he? But like of emotion.
Mm,
So he's like he's meant to be number one. He's meant to be the leader. He's meant to be doing all this. But left to his own devices, he's just ugh. Like, you know what I mean? Like his brain
yeah.
just leaks out of his ear, and he's just like, I'm just a strong man. That's all I am. I lived on the
Mm,
moon for how many years? Like I don't have
yeah.
that social connection or whatever. But then
Well, if you think,
yeah.
go on.
But sorry, and then tying that into Diego, Diego's like, see what I mean? Like, you don't think straight anymore. You aren't a leader to me. And that's where,
Yeah, he's
like, you know,
not.
like Diego doesn't have that respect for him, which I totally
Yeah.
get. Like, I totally get that. And I think that's
Well,
good writing.
if you compare them to the comic book characters that they're meant to be mentally taking from,
Yeah.
so you've got Diego is meant to be like Batman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Mysterious vigilante, and he even says that in a scene coming up, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
And Luther is Captain America.
Yeah.
Batman is never gonna like Captain America. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
like if they ever interacted, they just never connect.
Yeah.
Batman wouldn't take that the stance that Luther has or Captain America has. So Diego never does it. Where Batman would respect
Mhm.
Professor X,
Mhm.
who I think 5 is meant to be
Mhm.
in terms of intelligence and leading in that sense.
Yeah.
I see him as a X-Men mold of a lot of the characters, but mainly Professor X. I don't know if you agree with that about 5.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, 5, yeah, being Professor X, and he's so old, and he's
Yeah,
lived those lives essentially. So he had his young life, being what they are, when they were the Umbrella Academy and they were saving people, and
mm,
then teleporting himself and living that future, and having his doll girlfriend and stuff like that, and going insane,
yeah,
like the mannequin, and and living through this whole, like, I know how to get back home and stuff like that, and then he more or less turned himself into, much like Tony Stark, a genius, but a mad scientist. Because Tony
mm,
Stark is like nanobiology. Yeah, okay, no worries. I'll figure that out in like a night. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Whereas like
time travel.
yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas it took 80 years to figure out everything that needs to be known about him, about pretty much the commission, like how that works, especially when the handler comes to see him. And then you think about all that, and then you've got Diego. What has he done? You know what I mean? He got his girlfriend killed in the first
Yeah,
season, and maybe he seems to forget about that. So you know what I mean? Like, so going through all the other characters, I mean, going from 5, and Klaus doesn't care. He's just got Ben to deal with. Luther is just a wet wipe, wet towel, whatever. He's just a strong man.
yeah,
Vanya doesn't remember anything. Like, you know what I mean? So who else is there for him to compare to and be, or like to step up for? He just wants to be this lone wolf. Clearly, he's not. And things like
yeah.
that. Yeah. So,
Do you think?
mm,
Do you think this season has given enough weight to the first season in regards to Diego?
no.
As you say, with his killing, she died because of him, and he did a really good performance. I think that the actor, I don't really like his character in the first season. I like him a little bit more in this season, but he feels like he's forgotten about all that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think maybe it's coming back to things. It's like they've seen these horrible things throughout their whole life. They've dealt
Mm,
with grief and loss and all that kind of stuff. Not
mm,
not Ben specifically, because they all they all dealt with that. Like, that was grief to them. Like, but then they all had a fight, and then they didn't care anymore, but everyone just blamed
yeah,
Vanya again. And then going back to something which is a lot more serious, like his girlfriend at the time, who was a policewoman, is like, he said to her, "Do, like, why don't you just do what I do? Like, why don't you just do, like, be like me more? Don't be like you." and then inevitably got her killed. She was like, I'm gonna be like him, and then she rushes in, boom, dead. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's learned from that, or maybe it's just a thing is like because he hasn't been back home yet. Like they haven't gone back
Yeah.
home proper, and I don't know.
He's very a soldier with a focus. You know what I mean? He's that type of person where he's like, this is now my focus.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That doesn't matter now because I'm focused on this.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And like it takes utter brain strength from somebody else to bend his will, not break it, but just bend it so there's a fork in the road. You know what I mean? So he goes off that sidetrack, and then that sidetrack turns into the main road again, if that makes sense. So like his focus.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
One more thing now. What do you think about this terrible fake beard?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's the worst. Can this guy not grow a beard? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I think there's something different there. There's definitely a fake beard, and I need to give it a Google, and I need to figure out why they put a fake beard on him because it looks so crap.
It's
and
incredibly shiny and it's wet all the time.
It's this line. There's a line there where they just stuck it on, and you can see it. Yeah. Like it's like when like someone has bad extensions, and you can see like that the clip in the back of the head or whatever. It's just like that, but it's right on his face, right here on his cheeks. So you do a big close up of his face, and he's doing a big emotional bit in like 2 scenes, and you just see that stupid shitty beard, and it really wound me up. I was like, oh, that beard's awful. If you can't grow a beard, don't give him one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If he can't grow a full beard, or they don't like the look of his beard, just don't give him one.
Yeah, like he was in
you know what I mean?
He was in that mental asylum for like 70 something days, and it's like
didn't have to have a full beard.
Your beard, well, for starters, your beard doesn't grow like that. Speaking as a man who has a beard, does not grow like that at all. Like, as men who have beards, does not grow like that at all. Like both of our faces, like it's not clean cut like that. He wouldn't be given a razor, or would he be let to have that beard in a mental facility at all? You know, whatever. But
let's move on before I always think about it for the rest of this podcast.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
So after we leave the Swedes, Elliot's speculating again, and like the Elliot and Five are in the house, and they're talking about all these different things and what have you, more or less pointing at all like the red ribbon on the wall and whatever. And Five just turns around and goes, "Look, can you just develop this film?" In the end, he says 5-6 hours. I think Five in that scene, yet again, very good. You know, on my robot brother's half sister side, stuff like that. And so then anyway, the scanner, like the police scanner, pops up, and Five's ears perks up, and then he goes, "Okay, yep, like that's Diago." Now, what we were just talking about was that he's Batman. So this is a very like, I thought this was quite good. So this shows the hero complex. So in other words, and the funny thing is that Elliot knows what this number is. Like he goes like, I don't know, 2319 or whatever he says on the radio. And then he goes like, a fugitive on the run. And then he goes, "Oh, Diago." And he goes, "Who's Diago?" He's like, "Imagine Batman, but lower, but aim lower." And I thought that was like, that was perfect. That's the hero complex. So anyway, it goes. So they go from there. Five grabs the keys and says, "Go and develop my film." And then they move on to Diago and Lila in the car. They're talking about Oswald and kidnapping him, and then that they want to cut off his trigger finger. I thought that was quite funny because this is where the hero complex, the plan, everything he's doing, and then you've got Lila, who's just insane. Where these two clash.
She is insane, but this is the bit where I kind of like the insanity of it, because she's saying to him, isn't she, "This is just a stupid plan." Do you know what I mean? And you're just a stupid person written for. You're an open children's book written for stupid kids or something. And I was like, give me more of that. Don't give me the wacky, "Oh, I've smashed the window." Do you know what I mean? Give me that, like that's the insanity side I want to see. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that was probably the best scene them two have been in together.
Because
it was a really nice scene.
Talking like having someone who's insane, and I mean that in air quotes, next to him, and he dies down a little bit. I think that was quite good because Lila thinks straight for this time instead of just being like, oh, wacky all over the place. It's like exactly like you were saying. Like she goes, no, this plan's stupid. Like so to me, it like as if someone's just broken cover and like kind of just gone like, why are you doing that? And then so they're talking about why don't you just like the trigger finger? What about if you're ambidextrous? It's like, yeah, like why didn't you think about that? Like you'd have to just chop both the fingers off, or like you know what I mean? Like it's not you can't pull a trigger with your middle finger or whatever. You know what I mean? Things like that. Anyway,
can you not do that? Actually, I was thinking about that. Do you know anything about that? Do you know anything about guns?
About a
Back in
trigger finger?
Australia, do you have guns?
Yeah, we have guns in Australia, but it's not like America, no, where you can just. Well,
no, but I mean, like,
I
can you? If I chop my trigger finger off, can I never ever use a gun?
No, you can use a gun. You can still use one.
That's
like
weird.
it'll just be harder. Your body gets used to it. It depends on what.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, like your body will get used to it, but it's over time. It wouldn't be like immediate unless Oswald is like Navy SEAL commander, captain, whatever, like who's just been firing guns since he was a kid with a cigarette in his mouth. You know what I mean? Like, like that kind of dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was quite good as well. Like, so they're talking about the plan all the way through, and then 5 pops up, and I thought this was brilliant because in all of the other ones, 5, like all the other scenes where 5 pops up, he makes a noise like a.
I was gonna say that.
And
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
He didn't, and I was like, maybe he was meant to. I don't know. Like maybe he was outside the car beforehand. I didn't see him, but like you know, he could have just been outside the car and just jumped in or whatever. And then so they go through, and I've found this very amusing as well. 5 talks, Lila freaks out, Diago does nothing. And
Diego's just like Diago knew he was there.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? He's like he's come to foil the plan, and like, and with foiling the plan in mind, he's just like, you're not doing this. I need you. Leave him alone. Like that has to happen.
Yeah.
And then
loved it.
He like leans over the bench seat and grabs him and just goes like, "Come with me." And he's just like, "No, otherwise I'm just going to call that officer over here." He does, and this comes to what we were saying about like our chat about Diago. Was 5 wasn't bluffing. He really was going to pull the cop over here and get him arrested again. He was not kidding.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Know, he was going to blow his whole plan up to like smithereens, like easily. So
yeah.
then we move on next, and so Allison's at the police station, and then clearly they're just not acknowledging her due to the race and what have you like that, because Raymond's he's in prison now. Not in prison. He's in the police cells. So she's like, "Why can't I see my husband? Would you let me see my husband already? It's been forever." And he's like, "Name." And it's like, "I've been here for 2 hours. Name." Like, Raymond Chestnut. He's in holding. You know what I mean? He's in processing. Like, fuck, man.
I really like that. I really like that scene because all the way through it, we as the audience are just like, just fucking rumour him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just fucking do it, and you do that, and all this problem's gonna go away.
Yeah.
And like, like that was obviously the aim, and I think that was a really well done bit. Like, it's just like, you want to do it. You want to just say, "I fucking heard the rumor." You could let him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If she said that, he'd walk out. He'd be done.
Yeah.
And but she's just so scared of that power, of her own power.
Yeah.
Which is it's a really cool contrast towards like Vanya and Klaus.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone apart from Diago and 5, which again we see that divide, don't we, as well?
Yeah.
Is scared of they're scared of the powers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't like the powers. They're not into it. Like Diago and 5, buzz on theirs. They're all in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like 5 now, it's an extension of his arm. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just walking normally down the street, he'll just bamf down the street because it's easy.
Yeah.
Or he'll just go across the rooftops because he just doesn't want to be seen or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, Diego's only got like, he'll just pick up a knife or a stick or anything, and he can do it. Yeah. No, I know what you mean exactly. Like, you're just sitting there like cringing, going, "Do it, do it, do it."
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
And do it, and he gets out. Do it, and he gets out.
Yeah.
But this, But the next scene, which is the bit where they're inside the prison, isn't it?
Yes.
This bit, I thought personally, was a really, really good scene because that guy's in there. He's got Klaus is in there, and that guy gets brought in, and he's like one of Klaus's like followers.
Yes.
And Klaus obviously just cannot be asked dealing with them. He fobs him off, and then he says like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And then Raymond like corrects the saying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he does that correct the saying bit. And I thought it was a really good point of like, Raymond should be the leader of any sort of like cult or anything. He's like a natural, charismatic, smart guy, and he should be the leader. And there he is in prison. And I think that was the point of that whole sequence. It's just to say, in the 60s, the black man who should be in charge is in prison.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Klaus, the idiot, drug addict, is about to walk out, which eventually he does, obviously.
Yeah, he does.
And I just thought that was a really poignant moment, and even, and I think that was the point.
The bars as well, like with the cell separation and things like that, and that was like that was a very clear like. And then they reach to the bars and they shake hands, and I was like, yes, sweet, that's the one. But that's also, as you were saying, the idiot who knows Shakespeare, whereas the dude who can teach it, like they can still come together. And I was like, fuck, like be the leader, like be the Captain America to the Avengers.
Well, that happens throughout the series with the five, with like the Umbrella Academy. You see them break integration all the way through the series, which I thought was really good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Obviously, they're not asked. Like that doesn't compute to them.
Yeah.
Like like there's a scene later on in the series. It's not like it's not an important thing or whatever. But Luther's eating food at like a barbecue, black people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's not going anywhere else. Like that's obviously nicer food. Like I'm not eating white people food.
So Klaus released via the governor. And this is what was interesting to me. It's like, how has Klaus got to the governor? And then he does say, no, I just know he's more wealthier benefactors. I was like, wow, where has he been? What has he done? And then this was quite good as well. It was like we're saying about Raymond. He says, like he stands up, pulls his pants up, sorts his shirt out. It's like, oh, okay, so the governor, do you? You know what I mean? Like, well, you know what to do. Like, like spreads the word quick. He's smart. He's onto it. And then he says, like, he gestures to everyone else in the cell, and he's like, these guys are all being held on no charge. You know what I mean? And it was just like, and Klaus, for once, like, well, in my head anyway, he went, yeah, like, because he turned to the cop and he was just like, is that true? Like, is that for real? Like, he genuinely meant that. Like, he wasn't being a drug addict.
He
genuinely meant it. And I was like, yeah, well, finally, that's something good's come out of that. It's an immediate, like, action scream sequence. Was Elliot starts freaking out about the Frankel footage and just goes, are you or are you not an enemy of the people? And it sparks a funny response from Diago, 5, and Lila. And Diago and 5 would just go, well, it's it depends on the people.
Like, it's complicated. It's complicated.
And that was
that's very good. That actually.
And then coming back to what we're saying yet again, 5 and Diago move brilliantly, so swiftly. Like we finally see like teamwork with each other.
Yeah.
So and especially that 5 and Diago just go like, do you want to take this one? Nah, I've got it. 5 moves. Pushes the gun up, Diago grabs it, and in the meantime he's like, hey Lila, like blah blah blah, gets the attention. And it was just like bang, cocks the gun, done. And he just goes, and then they all just look at each other and just like, that was nothing, like that was just a walk in the park, and it was brilliant. So anyway, then we move on, and they've tied poor Elliot up, and then they're viewing the footage. So they're viewing the footage, and Lila's gone quietly insane again, and he's painted, like, so they've tied him up, and then Lila's painting his toenails or whatever.
I'll take painting the toenails. That's what I mean? Like, that's like a good insane thing. Like, ooh, I'm painting the toenails of this guy on the phone. Let do all that.
Yeah.
Just don't make bad decisions.
Yeah.
I think that's when it gets annoying to me.
You don't need to be part of this scene. Like you're just watching some moving pictures on the screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
don't be wacky just to be in the scene. Yeah.
So, like you're just there enjoying the moment, I guess, because Diago's there. And speaking
Yeah.
of which, she still has his beads on as well, which I noticed
Yeah.
the whole entire way through. So as it's playing, the Frankel footage like starts playing up, and I was like, "Why? What's this got to do with you know what I mean?" Like Frankel, there's no obviously yet again no history buff, but it's clearly just a name. It's just someone that just happened to be there at that time.
Yeah, I don't think it's a thrown name.
No, so and then Diago pipes up and just goes, "That's the grassy knoll," and then it all yet again a domino effect just slides into place, and then we realize that footage is where JFK gets shot. And then sort of pans in a little bit further after we hear some gunshots, and there's Hargreaves, and both of them just go, "It can't be." This scene that comes straight in is they go, "Well, we have to find out where he is because obviously he's here." Well, isn't there wouldn't there be just some magical way that we can actually find people? Boom, 60s phone book, the people, where they are, where their name, everything.
Yeah, that everyone had the whole information.
Yeah.
Something I want to mention about that scene though, it was the first time it really stood out to me in this season, is the music for the whole show is amazing. But in that scene, it really builds up, and like the lights are on the face, and you know what I mean. And it just really, and like it's normally like a violin for Vanya, so like the music's all based around her violin. I just thought it was really good, that scene. It really pushed the music a bit further. Normally it's quite reserved, the music in this.
Yeah.
Apart from like the songs and like the big grand moments, but this was just a really good music was swelled up, and then it just hit them as Targreave popped up on the screen. I thought it was dead interesting, dead good music.
So we're back on the farm and we're playing hide and seek with Harlan, and this is the part where I wanted to talk about the clothes. So Vanya comes out and Sissy's there doing the washing. Vanya is wearing a flannel, a normal shirt, some jeans, and I'm pretty sure she's wearing something along the lines of like cons, maybe, or they could be like boots. And then Sissy is wearing like a very feminine, like very high pants, very pink top, like kind of like traditional, like 60s women's attire. And this is where it got to me. Harlan ran up to Vanya and like was like all up in her face, and I went, "Hang on a minute, this is the couple. This is now Carl's out of the picture. This is now the couple. The way that they're dressed, the way that everything's going."
It's framed as a family, isn't it?
Like that is the family now. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, so Harlan wants to go and play hide and seek, and this is where I noticed it even more, is because Vanya starts like closes her eyes, counts to 10 or whatever, and Sissy looks back, and when you're looking at them both, you could tell that was very like a family figure, kind of like dressed in how am I going to say this? Like men's clothes and women's clothes sort of thing, but like she's very much like a tomboy sort of thing, you know, like that sort of thing. And I thought that was, like you said, framed perfectly. That was the family, and I was rooting for them. I was like, yes, this is brilliant. This is great. Someone just go and run Carl over already. Like, we just don't need him anymore. Like, he's out of the picture now.
Fuck him off.
Fuck him off. So, runs. So, anyway, she goes down, and as she's walking towards the barn, Luther rocks up. There's a gun and a flask, and he just takes a swig from the flask, and he's just thinking this whole time. We get a flashback to when he locked her up, and then like, you know, how horrible he was to her, especially when Allison came down and said like, let her go, you know, even after
you really, like, I was really impressed with the actor again here. You just see you can see the grief on his face.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's why he's fighting. That's why he's just doing this shitty job, because he's in grief.
Yeah.
He treats this person like an animal, like they deserve what they got.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you can feel that weight on him. I thought it was a really powerful performance from him.
Yeah. And then even more, this is what stood out to me as well, was that when he got into the barn, so he walks into the barn after Harlan and Vanya's in there playing hide and seek, and the way he walks in, he's like, am I going to kill you? Are we just going to talk? Oh God, I'm so scared right now. And I thought that was very good. But like, it was this hulking figure against quite a small, like, well, you don't see Harlan, but like a small figure. and Vanya looks so innocent there as well. She's like, oh, like, hello, like, who are you? But not happy, but, sort of thing. And the way that Luther talks, he apologizes because she has no idea. Like, she explains to him, I was hit by a car, I have amnesia. I don't remember anything. And he's like, stop. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, and then she goes, well, what did you do to me? And I was like, oh, that crushed my heart. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, horrible. Like, and then he just says, like, I was shit, I was horrible, blah, blah, blah. It goes through the whole thing. And then Sissy rocks up behind him, and this is where I thought this was quite good. That gun is pointed right at his head. Luther may be bulletproof, but not at that range, I don't reckon.
No.
Like, his head's getting taken
No.
off. So produce the wires. As soon as Luther leaves, the light beams right through the barn, like full on, like illuminates it, and it makes it like everything's whole,
Yeah.
everything's fine again. You know what I mean? Like, it's just them three there. The light beams through. There's no more darkness in the barn. Like, no one's
Yeah.
like, there's no evil. And I thought that was quite good. And then this scene I thought was brilliant, which is the Swedes in the house cooking with cats everywhere. And the Swede, like, the two of them in undies. So the one Swede's just sitting there with a penny on, and he's just got his undies and he's cooking fish, like, whatever. And then the other two are in there, like, they're just standing at each other, staring, like, smiling, and they're playing like this knife game. And I thought that was brilliant. Like, one misses, and he just goes, "There's no dialogue between them at all, like, not a word. It's all through facial expression and noises." And I thought that was brilliant because one of them just goes, "Oh, like, I've missed." Like, I missed, and then he goes bang straight into his leg, and even then doesn't make a noise. He just goes, like, ow, like, that really hurts. It's in the bone. And then they get, so this makes sense to me now why they wanted that house and why they had to kill that person, because boom, a note comes down and it says the Swedes. Like, now we know who they are because they're constantly beforehand they were saying these Scandinavian dudes and whatever. Like, I think Lila was the first one to say it. As she was, actually. She was like, why are these Scandinavian dudes chasing us? And which kind of gave the jig up a little bit to me now, like, at this point in time. And I was like, a bit,
Yeah.
no one said anything, like, because they haven't talked, they haven't said anything. They just look like three normal white dudes, but with bleached hair. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
right. I'm going to keep that one in the memory banks. So anyway, they get the picture, and then they get orders from HQ, which says they need to go. They need to go see Vanya. Like, that's their next target. So
Yeah.
and then they open the freezer. There's the head. Like, that was quite a good touch. What do you think of the Swedes so far? Like, especially that scene.
I'm not. They haven't got the Cha-Cha and Fingo vibe yet. Yeah, they haven't got that vibe of like, ooh, these people. They got like a bit of banter. They got a bit of connection. I haven't felt a connection with them yet, but I do feel more threat from them. Do you know what I mean? So I take that. I want more threat rather than, oh, look at these two characters that I like. Do you know what I mean? I don't like them as characters because we don't know anything about them. So I'll take that over, say, like, over being a character I like. I'd rather have a character that I'm scared of.
And do you notice them in the comics, especially like the first? I think it's in like the first couple of pages in the comics. There's a dude. There's the milkman, and he.
I think it's just a milkman in it. It's not.
Yeah, but
If you go to this,
blonde hair, doesn't he?
yeah, it's the first scene you see him in.
Yeah.
It's not in the second one. I haven't got the first one with me. I dare look.
In Dallas.
It's it's like that bit.
Yeah, where he's walking over, but the milk, it has a message on it, doesn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is where I was like I was curious to see further on where the Swedes would go from here on out. But anyway, we'll move on to the next one, and then we'll take a quick break. So the next scene is Diago and Five talk about the grassy knoll, and they're still in that. They're still at Elliot's place, and and Five talks more about his time away, and then they're having this full on, like, an argument where Five is like, no, I need to be a leader here, and I need your help. stop being
Yeah.
this hero complex. And he does bring it up yet again, the hero complex. And this is where they find the place, which is the umbrella manufacturer, the umbrella factory, even. So they find Hargreaves because they're like, that's everywhere to go. He's got to be there for sure. And like, you can see out the back of the window, it's nighttime. It's like, do you think, even in the 60s, and what Hargreaves is, like, surely he's not going to be there at 10 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? It's just a place.
The snoopers, though, aren't they? They're always going to snoop about somewhere.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you know what I mean? They see a room and they're like, "Oh, I'm going in anyway." Do you know what I mean? They're not gonna.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And then this is where Lila is in the red room, the dark room even. And for me, that was a bit strange because it may be a closet, and she says, well, Diago finds him and goes like, "Why are you in the closet?" "I need some air." And he's like, "In a closet? There's a draft." And then the more and more I was looking in that room, she's holding a photo, like she's holding something in her hands, and she's covered something up with like a coat or something like that. And I was like, this is upon second viewing, but upon first viewing, I was like, this is okay. So she slipped a little bit. Now she's back to playing a weirdo. Then they have this like weird breakdown, and she's more invested into him yet again. Like she may have, or she may be wanting to be there. I almost went too far ahead then, but she's bringing it back. She's like, I've got so many things. I've got feelings. I have to do this, and I'm also a lunatic, and I'm in the red room staring at this. Now I've got to look after Elliot because he's tied up. Like, you know what I mean? And then anyway, they leave it on. They said like, she's like, well, where are you going? Why do I have to stay? He's like, it's a family thing. Okay, so after that scene, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back. Okay, and we're back. So come straight back into kind of yet again a heavy scene. So Allison's at the jail and like sitting and standing there with Raymond, and like you can just tell that they're really, really in love, like full on.
Yeah.
This is like they've got that connection. To kind of skip through what they were saying, you know what I mean? Like it's, I really want to get you out of here and stuff like that. I'm going to get you out of here. Raymond's more bothered about the fact that he goes, I'm curious, like, why did you say I heard a rumor twice? Now, I only heard her say it once, and that's upon second viewing as well. And I'm like, unless she said it another time, I'm not too sure, but I don't, maybe that was just a slip up or something like that. But
yeah, maybe.
But anyway, he's onto her, like to a certain extent onto her, but like he's like, why do you just say that? She's like, oh, you know, I don't know, whatever. And then anyway, so they say, all right, I'm gonna get you out. I'm gonna leave now. She gets called out, and then sees the follower's hand saying goodbye, or saying hello. And anyway, she's like, like at first, like okay, and then double take, and she goes, where did you get that from? All the followers have them, and she goes, like that face of like all the followers. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And like, who exactly is this? Like, what's the name? And I thought that was like a brilliant little end.
Yeah.
Kind of like a very downing scene.
I really like her face is kind of like,
Downing
of course.
Scene? I think that's the wrong word. Like a very like down scene, like down moody scene. Yeah. Downing scene? What the fuck? Go on.
Yeah, I really like though. Like her face just kind of said, "Well, of course, Klaus has got like followers." Do you know what I mean? Like that was it. He was like, she was like, "Oh, of course, he's got like a follower."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm here trying to get my husband out of jail, and he's got followers in jail. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it was really good acting. It was just a quick sort of look, and you're like, yeah, I understood that completely.
So speaking of Klaus, so we find him and he's walking across this lawn towards like this mansion. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like, and I was like, okay, so he's a follower. I understand that, but I thought he was more like a living living free sort of spirit, like not having anything. Anyway, picks up whatever, throws it through the window like a stone, and then breaks in. Everything's covered in sheets and whatever. Like this mansion hasn't been touched for quite some time, and then like he just starts ripping off sheets from like this couch and whatever. And Ben starts talking to him, and Klaus just doesn't want anything of him right now. And Ben, where was he in jail as well? You know what I mean? Like, what was he doing? Was he just standing outside, like having the time of his life, or was Klaus too drunk? Maybe, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, so he shuts him down, and then Ben keeps talking to him, like annoying him or whatever. And this is what I didn't get. Ben pulls down the sheet and reveals the painting on the wall, which is
No, he doesn't.
Does he?
It goes around the sheet, like the angle changes and it moves up. There's like a lamp with a sheet on it, and it goes around the lamp to reveal. There's like a lamp hiding, because there's like a lamp and then a chair, a couch, and then another lamp on the other end, and then the camera like spins around to reveal his painting of him doing the whole hello goodbye thing.
Okay, there you go, got it. Yeah, like I thought that was a scene. I don't know. Could that have been missed, or was that just a quick setup?
I agree.
Like, was it just a setup?
I think you literally could have had him just walking up to the house, and then that could ride off.
Yeah.
Save some time. Save some time there, and give me more time with Allison and the husband.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? I don't need that.
Or more explanation from Allison and that follower, and with Raymond involved as well. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Here? Like, how do you know them? But
yeah.
To quickly breeze over that because we're coming up on time. We've gone for quite a long one on this one. Sissy and Vanya. So after the painting on the wall, so we go back to the farm. Sissy and Vanya there, and it's late night. They're both sitting there drinking whiskey, and they're talking yet again about Vanya's past. Like, are you sure you just don't know anything? And Vanya's just sitting there going like, no, of course I don't know anything. Like it's all gone. Yeah. It's white. Obviously, after Luther's been there, I'm sure they're a little bit shaken up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's got to come out. It's got to come out somewhere. Like he knew. She says like he knew my name. You know, and things like that. Yeah. And so anyway, Sissy goes, right, that's it. Give him over, and reads her palms. And this is where I was like, okay, it's happening. It's fully happening. Yet again, Carl's out the picture. Fantastic. Loving this. Yeah. And then Vanya's hands start closing, and then like they kind of hold hands like for a split second, and Sissy freaks out and goes, no, can't do this. Like, nope, not right now. Like, want to, but can't. And then, like, just gets off. And then Vanya's still smiling at this point. Like, she's still smiling at this point, going, like, that was great. Like, that was the connection I needed, which was fantastic. So, Vanya goes to bed, and then she starts getting memories slowly back, like, you know, playing the violin, and this is where the music starts kicking in big time as well for Vanya. Like, it's rushed, it's slow. When it's looking at Vanya, it's slow, and then when it was going into the dream, it was very rushed. It was very like fast-paced violin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, sweet, something's happening here. She freaks out, gets up, grabs the keys, gets off, and then Sissy wakes up and is just like, shit, what have I done? Like, have I done something wrong? Like that sort of that on her face, and I was like, that was very well done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like in Sissy's regard, I mean. And then so we come to the end of this episode, which is Diago and Five are finally at the umbrella factory, which was quite. It got me thinking throughout this thing, throughout when they were walking through it, because Five hasn't seen Hargreaves in 45 years, and Diago's only seen him like, you know, not so long ago, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe, I don't know what, a year possibly, like since before he died, you know, something like that. I think he said somewhere along the lines, and you can tell that Five's very apprehensive. He's just like, I'm gonna see him, and Diago calms it down the fact that like he has no idea you exist. He has no idea who you are.
Yeah.
We are in the past, you know. And then I thought that was quite good. But this is where Five's acting shines as well, because he goes, "What was the last thing you said to you? I told you so." And he goes, "Well, he's not going to know who you are. He's not going to be able to tell you that now." He's like, "Oh, I'm sure he'll find a way." And this is where that actor, like, fantastic. Like, he is
He's so
80 plus years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's really good. That lot of acting. Like, I really enjoy him.
Yeah, he's been there. He's done that. And this is another thing as well, which I've noticed, and I've tried to follow on from watching it. Is Five everywhere he look, like whenever he's going to Banff, he looks exactly where he's going. So he's looking through these glass windows, like the glass doors, and goes bang, like through there. But he proper eyes it up this time, and then just unlocks the door. And Diego's like, I've got to remember that. So to quickly skim through this, because they start searching everywhere, and while I watched it through anyway, like I was checking for anything else that could possibly mean something. I may have missed a few things, like first watch, second watch. Granted, the second watch I did skip through it a little bit, like a little bit faster than I should have. But there's nothing, like, there's just, besides when those two start speaking to each other, this is just one big front. Clearly, no customers go there. It's just meant to be a factory, but like, it isn't a furniture place; it's an umbrella place. So there's mannequins everywhere sitting on like random, like, what does he want? Is this already his mind ticking, saying like, this is how a family life should be, or something like that in his head? I'm not too sure. Like what did you think of the layout?
It was intriguing. Like, but at the same time, he's always been a front. This whole umbrella thing made him billions somehow, and then it's always been a front to do the Umbrella Academy. The Umbrella Academy has always been a front for studying powers. Do you know what I mean? So there's always another layer with Hargreaves. That's how it always is. When you read those in the comics as well, there's always another layer to his thinking. Like, he all thinking, "Oh, you're on the moon. Why is Luthor on the moon? There's a reason."
Yeah.
He thinks there's no reason. He gets back, but there's still a reason. You know what I mean? It all just keeps going through and through and through. So I didn't expect what I seen, but I did. I did think it was what we should see.
Okay.
Should I say?
And then the letter. Now, am I right in saying it's the Mexican consulate?
Yep, Mexican consulate.
Okay, so yeah, so like this event, so it would be, that was his main office then, which comes in a bit, and you find out.
Yeah.
Okay, like you find out. Okay, this is his place of work. There's nothing else there besides that one tiny office, and I was like, okay, cool. It's all the front, whatever. Carry on, and then Diego. Then it flashes over to Diego, and Hargreaves is walking through because he rocked up before. Maybe there was like a silent alarm or something like that, and he just happened to rock up, but he's just out.
Something like that.
Maybe something like that, or he just decided to just have a walk to work for some reason. And anyway, so they start scrapping anyway. But as soon as Diego hits the ground, the music kicks in, and I thought this was brilliant. Like, this is well done. And then so as he hits,
can I ask, what do you think of the choreography for the fighting? I thought it was a little bit lackluster. I thought it was a bit weak. What did you think?
I thought it was quite good, because to me it was like, it shows how rusty Diego is, but then also shows a younger version of Hargreaves, like this dude. Like, we thought, what? Like, from the first season, like, he's an old dude. He's very uptight. He's very Colonel Mustard. You know how you'd think in the Cluedo sense and all that. You know what I mean? And then, but you find out he's just a total badass. You know what I mean? Like, he's flexible. He's lumber. He can do all these things, and he's absolutely caning it against Diego. And Diego's like, meant to be this mad assassin, and he's just like, he's keeping him up. So
I didn't think about the rusty thing. That's a really good point. That actually, like, they never really bring it up in the show, but I think that's a really good point. That, like, he would have been a little bit rusty. He would have been a bit do a bass at him as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like at first he probably thought, I'll just like slap him a little bit and get him on the ground maybe. Not like I'll have to knock him out, but I'll have to, a little slap it out the edge, you know what I mean, and control the fight, and then gets past it. It's quite funny to be fair. The way he gets past it, like.
But this is one thing. It's like he wants to just bring it down, bring the hammer down. Picks up like this, like what's it called? That Rio bar.
Oh,
like it was just a metal pole, and then he just goes.
You actually know what the bar is?
Yeah, I actually know what it is. Yeah. And then someone
those twirly bars.
Yeah, the twirly bars. Yeah, which they put in concrete. Yeah. So what they do is, so what he does then, so he brings it up to swing it down, like bring it right down, but then stops because the light hits his face. He goes, "Dad," and then boom, cheap shot, like gets this kidney shot in with that knife, and then he says, "Amateur." It's like, well, of course he's not going to finish you, but he doesn't know who he is. So like, I get that part. But then
I love that he got stabbed. I'll be honest, that was so funny.
That he did the
he just stabbed him. I just didn't see it coming. Like I thought maybe he'll just throw him off and like throw him through with like a wall or something, where like they go into like debris and then he's down and then he's disappeared. That's what I was just assuming was going to happen. Yeah. And then he just stabbed him. I thought it was boss. Yeah, good scene. See it coming.
And then this was
just a little.
Go on.
Just a little, just right into his like it was gut with a
little kidney shot.
It's like, oh, I just stabbed.
Yeah.
Sick, really.
With like some sort of like kunai. I'm not too sure what that's called, but like I'm just gonna use Ghost Tsushima reference anyway. So yeah, and then in the middle of that fight, we see Pogo and Five talking, and Five's super stoked to see Pogo, but he's younger and he forgets, like totally forgets. And this is also before Pogo is an astronaut. That's not even a spoiler, because if you look at what Pogo's wearing, it's an astronaut outfit.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. And then anyway, those two walk off into the night, and then Diago's bleeding out. He's gonna die. And where's Five? Like, Five can just bamf around the place. Why don't you just go look for Diago or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
I think he was.
Like it didn't end that quick. So say that again.
Yeah. I think he was just a bit rocked by the Pogo bit, and he's like shouting for Diago, and he doesn't know Diego's ran off.
Oh, yes.
He thinks Diego's still in the building.
Yeah, no, you're right there. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. So then, anyway, that's where we end it on episode 2. So final thoughts. So what did you think of the whole episode?
I said before we spoke about at the start of the podcast episode, I said that I want to see the pace. I want to see what pace are we going to get. And I like the pace. It went rushing. It went too much like, it went like, oh my God, we've got so much to cram in. It let stuff breathe. It let like scenes breathe enough.
Yeah.
As we were saying, did we need the shot of Klaus in the mansion? But it was nice that we got it. So many shows now are just like, boom, that's all we needed. Boom, that's all we needed. You don't get that shot because you didn't need it. Do you know what I mean? I'll be much Better Call Saul as well.
Right.
I'm up to season 5, and that's a show that will let you know something's happening. Do you know what I mean? It really slow, steady. Like, there was a 15-minute scene in it, and it's just some guy setting up a camera. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the type of show that is. So then come to this show, and it's really like, it's fast. It still lets things breathe. Like, and I think that's really important in shows that we don't get enough of anymore, especially in Netflix shows, because they know people want to binge, so they have to cram as much in as they can into little episodes as they can, because they can't do 20 episodes in one big go.
See, that's what I was thinking about this while you were saying that. I think they had the money in the budget purely to do that. I think if they needed an extra episode, they would have made one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they needed that, if they needed to space out the episodes for longer or something like that, maybe, or just cram the scenes. But I think they've done a really, really good job on this. I'm very interested on the next episode, because the next episode's quite heavy set, and I'm curious to see a lot more their how how can I say this without spoiling anything anyway, or how going in further in depth. There's so many hidden things in the next episode, which I'm looking forward to bringing up. So like a lot more, like very blink and you'll miss it, and like I'm very, and like there was a couple in this one. I'm gonna remember to come back next episode, and then, you know, what I actually found, bar watching somebody do a 10 things you missed, because I have watched the 10 things you missed, but there's also things that they've missed. Well, in my opinion, maybe I just haven't watched enough, but there's a couple of things in the background which I think that someone's possibly missed. Maybe big words coming from somebody who's not a professional, but you know, we'll find out.
If anyone listening to this knows any we missed, please leave a comment below.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and a like, a share, and a subscribe.
That's the one.
That's how YouTube works.
That is how YouTube works. So, once again, BT, for episode 2, thank you so much for joining me, dude.
No, thanks for letting me come on and chat shit, or chat wham.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
It's been fun. Excited to do the next episode.
To the next episode, and I'll see you then.
Yeah. Bye.